everybody. This is Stephanie Krupczak with the Purevant Living Women and Wellness podcast. Today on the episode, we have Cindy Poiesz, founder of Supernola. So thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
So we're excited to dive in. So let's start with, how did we meet?
How did we meet?
I think it was through a mutual friend.
Oh,
so
yes.
saying, oh, you should meet Cindy, and
Yeah.
you're both foodies, so a lot in common.
And the CBD event.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we met in person officially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the CBD launch party. So
Which you know so much about.
I do.
Awesome.
The sort of CBD expert of Milwaukee.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about Supernola.
Yeah, so Supernola is my kind of mad scientist creation of a snack. So it's completely grain-free. It's just tree nuts, seeds, and superfoods in chewy clusters. And we'll be launching some crunchy clusters to the mix too.
Oh, okay.
But it's all about the ingredients and all about the superfoods in there. So I made it to be an anytime, anywhere snack that was energizing, really convenient to eat. But really tasted good. So all the flavors are really bold, exotic, really full flavors that make you feel really satiated when you eat it.
And I can really attest to that. They're very, very good. We had some at the office. I probably contributed to eating most of it myself.
Good.
So a lot of times for breakfast or lunch. So really good.
Mm-hmm.
So and you use a lot of ingredients like pumpkin seeds, and you have curry flavors, and really great.
Yeah,
great flavors, so
almost every kind of nut and lots of seeds and a ton of different superfoods. So some traditional ones like hemp seeds and chia seeds and flax, but then some really exotic ones too, like maki berries and golden berries.
Okay.
Some really different, unique things, and even spices like turmeric.
Oh yeah, that's a really great. It's very anti-inflammatory.
Turmeric and ginger.
Very good. So I know that you started selling or creating it when you lived in New York, and then you started selling it in LA. So kind of from coast to coast. Now you're in the Midwest.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. So I lived in New York, and I worked in banking. So I did corporate investment banking in the energy sector. So like oil and gas companies, like nuclear energy, completely different, not at all relevant to what I'm doing now. But basically, I got my first job in banking, and my boss was yelling at somebody for taking a sick day the first day on the job. And so I kind of like freaked out, because up until that point, like I was always sick in life. And I was like, I'm going to end up taking all my sick days. Like my boss is going to yell at me and I'm going to get fired. And it was my dream job at the time. So that's when I started to really like get serious about stuff and figure out what was going on. And then somebody kind of suggested about, the whole food as medicine trend was really gaining popularity. So focusing on the foods that I was eating. And that's when I kind of discovered everything and started throwing food together and making this snack of mine that was just my little secret weapon. And then when I was out in LA, I started sharing it with people that I worked with, my friends, and they were all just like, you need to start selling this. This is amazing. So that's how it all happened.
Very nice. So how did you get into superfoods? So just kind of through that journey and just learning and studying more up on them?
Yeah. So originally I started out with just like a basic like nut and seed recipe, but I'm always one of those people, like if I can get more out of something without putting like extra effort in, like why would I not do that? And I was working crazy hours and I was like, I need some kind of secret weapon here. So I started looking up different superfoods, and I don't even know how I first came across them, but I just was immediately obsessed. And then I started getting into like, South American cultures and some different ingredients and, different things that have just so much of a more health benefit than anything that we're used to having in like the typical American diet. So I got completely obsessed, and I would be up on my phone, I remember, until like, 3 or 4 in the morning, literally looking up superfoods and just like getting lost on like Wikipedia and like all these crazy websites, just researching them. And then I go out and buy them and I try them. And then eventually like I found my favorites, and those are the ones that made it into my recipes today.
Okay. And do you still cook with them in like your everyday recipes?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is your ultimate favorite superfood? Do you have one at the moment?
Yeah. Well, my ultimate favorite like daily is maca.
Oh, I love that one too. It tastes like the malted milk balls, kind of that flavor.
Yeah. And the different varieties of maca have different flavors. So like in Supernola, I only use red maca because it has more of a nutty flavor and it kind of blends in with everything. Some of the other varieties have kind of more of a pungent kind of flavor sometimes. And I wanted it to really blend in so you don't taste, this weird flavor amongst all these nuts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I use a lot of different varieties, like personally, but in Supernola, it's only red maca. But it's so good for like energy, endurance, libido, like everything. It's like your secret weapon, you know?
Yeah. And women's health too. It's very good for your, your system and hormones. So good for that. Like it balances your hormones, I think, actually, is what maca does. So,
but good for men too. So
yeah, that's true for everybody. Yeah, not just women. So I do like maca, but I didn't know it was like a red maca. I guess I didn't realize
there are different varieties. Okay. So normally they like mix them all together. So there's like red, black, yellow, and then they just mix them.
Yeah.
But when they separate it out, obviously it's more expensive then. But it has different flavors then. So. Okay.
Because I think I've just done the yellow maca, so I'll have to try the red in some recipes.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any new superfoods that are on your radar now? I know there's always like for me, baobab, I think is one. It's like it's like a citrus fruit. So that one I like, but
what does that one do? I forgot. I think you were telling me before.
I think it's just high in vitamin C is like the main thing of that one. But yeah, it's good to add to a smoothie, but it has a nice flavor. It's like almost like a natural sweetener too. Has a sweetness to it.
And camu is really high in vitamin C too.
Okay.
It's like one of my original flavors of Supernola I used it in, but then I realized like how temperature sensitive vitamin C is. So if it's above like 150 degrees or something like that, it starts to lose its potency.
Okay.
Or even if it's exposed to air. So I was like, okay, well, this sounds good in practice, but by the time somebody eats it, there's not going to be as much vitamin C content in there. So is it really worth it putting it in?
That makes sense. That is a really great thing to bring up because a lot of superfoods, any product will lose its properties if you heat it over a certain temperature. And I know you dehydrate your products.
Yeah.
What temperature do you have to stay under to make sure everyone gets those benefits?
Yeah, so everything's under 200 degrees that we do. We don't do anything above 200, which is really unique because that's normally not the case.
Yeah, most are baked or fried.
And normal baking temperatures in food are at least like 300 degrees.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we stay in the hundreds.
That's good.
And it depends on the product, because some products will be really low for a long period of time. Other ones will be a little bit higher, but for like 45 minutes or something. So it's, we try to limit it as much as possible. But then that's also kind of the secret to the flavors that we have, because it kind of just, it takes all the air out or the moisture, and then leaves like a really fresh tasting flavor. So it doesn't, you're not getting caramelization of anything because of the high temperatures.
Okay, yeah.
It's really just like a natural fresh flavor in it. That's really the secret.
I like that. Yeah, I know cooking at high temperatures is not always a good idea for a lot of foods that people don't necessarily realize, so that you're dehydrating is really cool.
Yeah.
So definitely sets you apart, I think.
Yes, and we have massive dehydrators.
It's kind of fun. I'd like to see those sometime.
Oh, you should. It's like a jet engine when it turns on. They're so loud. It's huge. You could drive like a pickup truck into it.
Really? That big? So, yeah. Oh my gosh. So you have like the trays of food you kind of wheel into it?
Racks, okay. Wow. Which is fun because we can produce a lot at one time, but it's also just fun. I mean, like commercial dehydration, you can play around with things, like the other day we played around with different like pieces of pineapple even. So like what does the core look like when you dehydrate the core? Like, is this good for anything? Like, we're always trying to figure out different things that we can do utilizing dehydration to make different products that might have different eating experiences, but also just different kind of vitamin mineral content because of dehydration.
Yeah. And then I guess like what becomes of the fruit or the product after you dehydrate, like I buy dehydrated fruit and I'll grind it in a coffee grinder and I'll use that to make like protein bites and things.
Oh yeah.
So you have that great fruit flavor, but it's like in a powder form. So yeah, that's a good idea. The experimenting, and you can see what new products it'll make.
And honestly, like, you never know what is going to come out of there sometimes. So it's like,
surprise.
Like whenever we're testing, I'm like, well, I think this is going to happen, but who knows when it actually comes out. And half the time I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that would happen.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's fun.
I'll have to check that out. My dehydration is limited to zucchini chips. Things like that.
It's good though.
Yeah, they're good though. Yeah. Add some tahini, some almond butter, nutritional yeast, olive oil. Really good. It has that cheesy flavor. Yeah. Let's give you the recipe.
Yeah, please.
Maybe we'll do a large batch in your dehydrator.
We could do a lot.
That would be fun. Your next product, zucchini chips.
Right? Well, yes, we're always looking for new products.
Perfect.
I do sweet potato treats for my dog though all the time. So I just slice up sweet potato. He loves it.
Okay.
Like goes psycho over it.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too, because I know animals can only have certain foods, certain products. So I know they can have zucchini. So that is, so maybe you could do zucchini chips.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And
zucchini sweet potato.
He's so funny. He like loves crunching really loud.
Okay.
He's like a little kid. So I think he likes it just because he gets to crunch. So anything he gets to crunch on, he's like, oh, yum.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. So, so what are some of the other initiatives that you're working on aside from your Supernola products?
So we're always trying to figure out like ways to eliminate food waste. So in our own process, we're trying to, but then trying to like work with other companies because, dehydration is such a unique like manufacturing process that most companies don't do. And if they do it, it's limited to like fruit slices or beef jerky really. And like they don't really use it for anything else. So we're trying to figure out, when our equipment isn't running, we're not making money obviously, and it's just sitting there and it's kind of a waste. So we're always trying to figure out ways to keep it running. And one of those things is we're talking about partnering up with like a upcycled pet treat company to dehydrate some of their ingredients and then have it. So we'll be like kind of an ingredient supplier for them because we'll dehydrate it and then grind it up into a powder. And then they give it to their co-man who like makes the actual treats. So it's taking like scraps from like spiralized vegetable companies or like pulp from juice companies, dehydrating it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's an ingredient for upcycled dog treats. So just trying to, figure out different ways where we can eliminate food waste in the process for us and for other people and, use dehydration to maintain vitamins and minerals in products.
That's a really great idea. Yeah, I never thought of the pulp too from juicing. Even when I juice here, I think of like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And most of them, honestly, it goes into the sewer.
That's true. Yeah, you put it down your garbage disposal and it,
Even the big companies that do it. And some of them, it's like needed for the sewer. I've learned so many weird things.
Interesting. Okay, tell us
sewers
more.
need a specific pH.
Okay.
And different fruits and vegetables are really good for like regulating that pH of the sewer system. So some of them are like, oh, we're doing good because we're putting it into the sewer system. But it's like, well, it's still technically trash.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great, the sewer system. But like, it's still the sewer system. So... And not everything can go in there. Like citrus fruits and different high pH things can't go in there.
Okay.
So just trying to figure out ways. And, it's not like obviously our like primary goal, but if we can do good, on any kind of aspect during this process, then, why not?
Yeah, definitely. That's great. So I know there's a few initiatives in Milwaukee to do like plastic free and different things with recycling. So that's great. Yeah. Because it's everything you consume, and if you can use byproducts from other companies, that would be good.
Yeah. And there's so much waste in food manufacturing too. Like so many people talk about the farmers and then the end consumer, but then there's a whole big, huge part in the middle, which is food manufacturing and how much waste there is in that too. And like, there's so much food waste in our system, yet there's so many people going hungry every day.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. So if I can make a little dent in that, then I will be happy.
Yeah, that's a great initiative. So what or is there a specific event or experience on your personal journey that led you to where you are today?
Yeah. So I was like growing up, I was always sick and like never quite knew why. And I told you before about how I was like 10. I was at sleepaway camp and they made us drink a glass of milk with every meal. And after 2 days, I got so violently ill. And it's funny because, like, as a kid, you're kind of intuitive. And I knew I didn't want to drink the milk.
Okay.
And I remember, like, I was the last one in the cafeteria. And they were like, you have to drink that before you leave. And I literally started crying. I was like, I don't want to drink it. And they made me drink it. And then I just got so sick that, like, I don't think I've ever felt that sick. They thought I had Lyme disease. They were testing me for all these things. And then they realized, like, they thought I was allergic to well water, or, like, had some kind of, like, bacterial.
Oh, wow.
Like, they just had no idea. And then finally they were like, oh, you're lactose intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
The solution is take a pill before you eat anything that's dairy, and you'll be fine, you know? Mm-hmm. And that was the stupidest advice for a doctor to give somebody, especially as a kid. It's like, obviously your body doesn't like it. A magic pill doesn't solve anything. But I'm Italian, and so my mom would make, like, you know, anything with cheese in it was what we ate. And she made everything from scratch and actually had us on, like, a really good diet growing up. But I mean, I still had a lot of cheese, and that was one of the big things. And then I found out later in life that, like, grains are really a trigger for me too. So I mean, bread, cheese, and pasta is an Italian diet.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was bread and butter. And that's, like, you know, the magical thing to make me violently ill. So I kind of just didn't know what was going on my whole life until, like I said, I got that first job and my boss was yelling at somebody for taking a sick day. And I was just like, okay, like, I know something's wrong, but I've kind of just accepted it up until this point, and I can't accept it anymore. And no doctor's going to tell me what's wrong, so I need to figure it out myself. So
it's kind of trial and error and trying new foods.
Yeah, elimination. And back then, a lot of people were talking about elimination diets to figure out what's going on. And I never even went to a doctor. Like, to this day, I still haven't been tested.
Okay.
Mainly because I know what it is.
Yeah,
but I kind of don't want to know because, you know, sometimes I cheat.
I think we all
like,
do.
Can I afford that? Yeah, I can afford that.
Tastes so good though at the time, right?
Yes. So I'm kind of like, okay, like I know I'll get tested one day for it, but I know what it is already, you know?
Yeah. When
you get into a habit of listening to your body, you can figure things out pretty quickly. Definitely. You just have to figure out how to do that because we're not really, you know, eating pizza, you're going to feel like crap afterwards. And everybody's just like, oh yeah, that's what happens after you eat pizza, you know?
But that's not,
but it's like, that's
normal.
Not, yeah. People make it seem like it's normal, but it's not normal. It's not a good thing. So,
yeah. I know I developed a lactose intolerance too when I was like my mid-20s, and I did a blood panel. So it kind of told me what your blood's reactivity is to different foods. So that was interesting to see what came back. And, you know, red meat is like, oh, that's high on your list and things like that. But yeah, but even just listening to your body, like, do you feel good after eating it? Like, if I eat all vegetables, I feel really good, you know, but if you have something else, then you might not. So yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense. So have you found alternatives to still eat Italian type food, but kind of swapping out ingredients?
Yeah. So I kind of, it's hard to get my mom to.
Oh, does she cook plant-based for you? Or?
No. She's trying though.
Okay.
She's like, I got gluten-free flour.
That's a start.
Like, okay. Like I like A for effort. I'll still eat it.
Yeah.
But like generally speaking for me, like grains just don't do my body good. So
yeah,
I'll eat a little bit and enjoy every single bite of it. But I forgot what your question was now. Sorry.
Oh, just about like alternatives for Italian food that's plant-based. But I know like a good Italian like ravioli, or I mean, it's so good, ricotta cheese, but you know.
Capello's, the paleo grain-free pasta.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I've not, no.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I fool people all the time.
Okay.
And like my friends and family, like they know that 9 times out of 10 I'm eating paleo.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you know, it fits my body well. But they make like the best pasta and you would have no idea that it's paleo.
Okay.
And I've tried to make homemade pasta that's paleo before, but I just can't do it. And there it's like in Whole Foods in the freezer section.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It's amazing.
Yeah, pasta. Pasta. Oh yeah. Not a sponsor. Maybe they should be.
They should be.
But yeah, pasta is interesting because typically it has egg and, you know, the flour. So, and the semolina. So like that kind of corn, or it's almost like cornmeal grainy a little bit flour. I used that before and I did some cooking in Italy. That was quite fun.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure if Capello, I think they have egg in there actually.
Okay. So because paleo I know does have some, you know, animal protein sources. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I love Beyond Meat sausages. Those are my favorite.
Yeah. The burgers or Impossible Burger as well.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Beyond Meat over the Impossible Burger just because it's more like natural kind of ingredients.
Yeah, that's something to be aware of too. Even though it's plant-based, is it really good for you? Because it's processed as well.
And most of the like meat-free products contain soy, which I can take a little bit of soy, but I can't take a lot of soy.
Yeah.
So that's, again, you got to figure out, listening to your body, what it likes and what it doesn't like.
Exactly. So.
But yeah, 9 times out of 10, when I'm like, I need a comfort meal, it is Capello's pasta and Beyond Meat sausage and kale.
Yeah. I love kale. Sauteed kale with nutritional yeast is my all-time favorite food ever. So there's kale in the soup I made tonight, but
good. I'm so excited for that.
Plant-based meal. So what are your short-term and long-term goals to improve wellness in women's lives? So just kind of overall.
Yeah.
With your business.
So with Supernola, I really I want to help people have an easy solution for eating healthy. So my goal with Supernola was always to make the healthy decision the easy decision for people. So making it like single serving, on the go, really easy and versatile. So you can have it on its own as a snack, or you can have it like a granola, like the name kind of suggests, or kind of any way you want. But then also the flavors being really bold and delicious. So that was my goal, is to just, the healthy option is not always the easy option. And most times we're sacrificing taste for something healthy.
Yeah.
And that became so standard for people that, a lot of times they're like, well, no, I want something that tastes good. Most of the time people eat because things taste good, not because it's actual like sustenance for our bodies. And, the everyday consumer just, eats things that they like to eat most of the time, regardless of, whether it's actually good for you or not. So my goal with Supernola is just to make the healthy option the easy option for people and make it available to as many people as possible. So focusing on having it be wherever, somebody on the go would be. So like convenience stores and, hotels, airports, in addition to the grocery store and cafes and everything. I really just want it to be like the no-brainer for people, because they know it's good for you.
Yeah.
And they know it won't make them sick. It won't, do anything with allergies unless you're allergic to tree nuts. And it's going to taste really good, so you're going to feel satiated afterwards. We don't put any fillers or anything in there. So it's really just wholesome, good food for your body.
And speaking of convenience stores, you want to tell us about Walgreens?
Yeah. So we'll be launching into Walgreens nationally.
It's exciting.
The end of January with Supernola. And the one flavor that's going to be in most stores is our new one, the dark chocolate nut crunch.
Oh, dark chocolate.
It's so good.
I don't know if I've tried that flavor yet, actually. I've had the other one.
I have some for you.
Yay. Perfect dessert.
It's so good. And the chocolate is honestly like the best chocolate. I had my favorite chocolate company make us chocolate.
That's amazing.
And they're my chocolate supplier, because I was like, nobody makes good chocolate. It's completely vegan, completely paleo. So there's no cane sugar. It's coconut sugar, and it's totally dairy free. And
That's great.
Like, and they source from the farms. It's such an amazing company, but it's so good.
Sounds amazing.
Like every time we're in production with it, I'm like, oh, can I get like one of the utensils and I'll just lick the chocolate off of it
when it's mixing it. Yeah. So how conscious are you of where you source from? So you said you found your favorite chocolate supplier. So you just like reach out to them and say, hey, I want to work with you. And you.
Yeah. I am, ever since day one, I've been a stickler about ingredients, because my philosophy was like, okay, if I can get cinnamon, like, do I just want cinnamon, or like, what is the best kind of cinnamon out there?
Yeah.
And that was my like up until 4 a.m. researching things like, oh, what types of cinnamon are there?
There's so many kinds.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot have different health benefits than other varieties, So I did that with every single ingredient that I put into Supernola before I even like made it as a product for anybody else. This was just for myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you call it crazy, but
no, that's exciting. I mean, that'd be
intense about ingredients.
Yeah, that'd be great for our consumers to say, okay, do you know that this cinnamon in this pack actually does this? Not your traditional cinnamon you'd, buy in the store, but
yeah. And the nuances, like the thing about red maca,
Yeah, like I thought it was just one maca. I didn't know there was red maca.
Exactly.
I learned something.
Multiple, and it, enhances the flavor, but still provides you all those great benefits from maca. And even like the fact that your body doesn't naturally process flax seeds if you eat them whole.
Yeah, it has to be ground.
So they have to be ground. How many products do you see with whole flax seeds in
know,
them?
and I cringe because I know that fact too.
Exactly. Yep. And it's so easy.
It just passes right through you.
You know, you have to have somebody who actually cares making the product.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently most people don't care. So we grind flax seeds.
That's amazing. I love that. And another tip, ground flaxseed with water is an egg replacement.
Yes.
So it's like perfect.
I just did that in these like cinnamon chocolate chip bars that I made the other day.
Okay, I want the recipe. That sounds really good.
Oh, I'm so bad with recipes. I just throw stuff together.
I do too, and I forget to write it down.
That was the one thing. Making Supernola was so hard because I'm not good at measuring things and writing them down.
Because you need exactly, when you're making especially big batches. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's
so
really
like
tough.
For the first, I was making it for myself for like 2 years or something. And I never measured anything. And I just went like, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. This is what it looks like. It tastes good. Okay, great. And then once everyone was like, you need to start selling this. And I decided to, I was like, well, I have to figure out what's actually in this. Then I was like, how many recipes did it take me to actually figure out how much of everything I put in there?
To like remake it.
It was a lot.
To perfect it. Yeah. Like I think a good practice is when you start to do ebooks. Like recipe books, you're like, okay, I need to know exactly so I can have other people make this too. And that's what really makes you kind of crack down and be like, okay, I need to get this perfect.
Yeah.
It's not easy though.
Yeah.
Your family might get sick of your recipes if you make it like 10, 20 times, but
exactly.
you know, or they might like it. A lot of free food.
Well, yeah, when it's good, they like it.
That's true when it's good. Yeah. I know. I'm sure us being foodies, we fail sometimes too, but that's part of learning, right? You're always experimenting. It's like we're mad scientists in the kitchen. I kind of love it.
That's what I always said. I'm like a mad scientist with it, but it's fun.
It is, yeah.
And sometimes it works out really well.
It does, yeah.
Like our best selling flavor today of Supernola is our triple berry vanilla.
I like that one. Mm-hmm.
That was my first shot at making it.
Really?
I have not changed the recipe since.
See, that's amazing.
Right?
It's got it right, like immediately.
The first one took me 2 years, and that one took me one shot. After a while, I kind of knew the recipe in general and kind of knew what I wanted, but you know, you wouldn't expect it to be that, but nope, haven't changed it since.
That's amazing.
One and done.
That's really cool. So I know you talked about like different superfoods and the different benefits. So I know I always try to experiment with not using sugar or as much salt to kind of have these spices kind of work for themselves. Like I know cinnamon you can add to kind of mask in place of a lot of sugar. Are there any other kind of tips you have maybe that you're like, hey, I like to add this to cover this flavor or things like that?
That's a good question.
Sorry to call you out on that, but
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, cinnamon is like, it was always my mom's secret ingredient.
Oh, really?
So it's
okay.
always mine. Like her chocolate chip cookies, it was like the one ingredient that wasn't written down. And she's like, oh, I have a secret ingredient. Like turn around and have cinnamon. In chili, like secret ingredient.
In chili?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's my secret ingredient. And I can tell
Mine is red wine in chili.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I can tell you, people think my chili is like amazing. Like my family begs me to make it. And I'm like, honestly, it is really easy. And I don't even like chili.
And there's cinnamon in it.
But I add cinnamon. And that's like the magic thing that kind of warms it up and brings it all together.
And do you make it plant-based or do you add meat to your chili?
No. Okay. Yeah. It has a lot of meat in there.
We could do a mashup of chili because I make a really good lentil chili with dumplings I put in it instead of noodles. I should try adding cinnamon. That's a great idea.
It adds that like warmth along with like the spicy stuff. So it's just like a whole body kind of thing. I'm all about hitting all the senses with stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, something's missing in here.
Spicy. And I noticed that a lot of your Supernola products do have that sweet, kind of salty, spicy. It's really great.
Try to balance everything out. You want to feel satiated after you eat whatever you're eating.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem with like potato chips. You know, you get something so salty and then you need something else. And that's why
it's not balanced.
Fast food comes with soda for a reason because it's so salty and you need that sweetness to balance it out. So it's, how do you get all of that in one kind of meal for yourself when you're cooking or one kind of snack?
So cinnamon, the secret ingredient. Mine is cardamom, actually, in baking.
Oh.
Yeah. So like if I'll make cookies or something, I like to use almond flavoring, and cardamom together is amazing.
That sounds delicious. I love almond.
Yeah, me too.
Almond cookies and almond anything.
Yeah, or even if you're making, like I'll do superfood drinks. I'm going to make one later too. I'll try. But adding in like almond flavoring or extract or even mint extract, you don't have to add really that much sugar. Maybe a little bit of maple syrup, but like maca, cacao, cashew milk, kind of blend it together into like a little latte. But yeah, I like using those extracts to really mask the flavors. And especially using like spirulina or something, the very algae, fishy flavor forward. Yes. You want to really cover that up. So
yeah. What do you think about monk fruit?
I can't do it. It tastes bitter to me. I think it depends on your palate. So I've tried it before, adding it as like a natural sweetener. I can't. I cannot do stevia either. To me, it tastes bitter instead of sweet. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. But do you use monk fruit?
I started doing it. So I made these pre-workout gummies with like...
Oh, that's interesting.
Beetroot extract.
I love beetroot.
Grapefruit seed extract because it improves circulation.
Actually, I've done that, adding it to water because it's like good for your digestive system. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
And beetroot's good for like circulation and everything. So, you know, when you're working out or, you know, playing in a game or whatever it is you're doing, you need your blood to be flowing.
Yeah, that's a good
very freely.
Post-workout, yeah.
So I made these like pre-workout gummies with all this stuff in there, but that was in there.
And how do you
sweeten it a little bit?
The monk fruit? Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit because it just you need something to like offset. But I also put pomegranate juice like concentrate.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to like mask the beet juice as much as possible.
Because it can be very like earthy flavor.
Very earthy, yes. And you're like, is there still dirt on here?
And when you cook it though, you have to probably monitor the temperature for that too, correct? When you're melting like the gelatin or what you're using?
Yeah, so I wanted them to be vegan. So I think it was like agar.
Oh yeah, agar. I use that to make vegan cheese actually. It's like another form of algae. Yeah.
So I used that for them. And obviously I just threw things together and was like, I hope this turns out good. And they did. So, hey.
That sounds good. I want that recipe too. We're going to have a whole list of recipes after this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I told you I've been so into making completely vegan meals and everything lately. So
yeah, like meal prep. Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah, I've been getting really creative, which is fun. But then also getting really into different superfoods that I never knew before.
Yeah.
It's always like fun. I always try to guess like what's going to be the next superfood that's popular.
That's
moringa's popping and
moringa.
You know, what's going to be the next one and how do you kind of predict it is really fun for me.
Definitely.
So
love to follow you on Instagram, your food adventures. So
I know we'll
post that later too.
But I should.
So what does wellness mean to you?
That's a good question because I feel like I started this journey with my own wellness in mind. And then all of a sudden, like I looked back on it, I want to say like 6 months ago. And I was like, wow, like now I'm so focused on wellness for everybody else that my own wellness has totally taken a nosedive. Like I was so focused on my company and the mission of that and focusing on, educating other people and helping other people with their own wellness that I totally forgot about myself. And that kind of reminded me like it's important to understand that like your own wellness is going to ebb and flow. And it's not just like a linear line. Like life isn't linear and wellness isn't either. There's going to be some times where it's going to take a backseat to things in life and you just have to be okay with that and know when you need to listen to your body and put yourself first versus when like, sometimes sadly I really can't do that. So I try to figure out, different ways to do that. But it's never, it's not a consistent thing. It's always going to evolve as you evolve as a person too, and your life does.
That makes a lot of sense. Very good answer. What is one wellness ritual that you do daily or weekly that you'd encourage listeners to incorporate into their lives?
I'm not very good with consistency.
Me either. I don't like schedules. I like change.
I will say my two things. I'm a big like nighttime breather, like especially when I have a really rough day. Okay. I just need to take like serious deep breaths and like let everything go and listen to Enya.
Oh my gosh.
She's magical, I swear.
I would agree with that.
I'm like, when I need to relax after a rough day or a rough week, I'm like deep breaths until I feel like I'm just going to pass out and turn Enya on.
Who Can Say Where the Road Goes, I think. Yes. Is that one song that's like my favorite song of hers?
Mine too. Only Time.
Yes. Only Time. Oh my gosh. Yep. Okay. I did not know that about you.
It makes me feel so much better. And then I love to just like take bubble baths and like watch Netflix on my phone with a glass of wine in a bubble bath and just like forget about everything. And I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. I don't know what it is about that, but that's my favorite thing.
Yeah. Those are great too. Or like Epsom salts or sea salt. And definitely. It's so good for your system.
The one time I ran out of Epsom salt, so I literally emptied out my sea salt container from the kitchen.
It's the same thing, right?
I think so.
Do you use essential oils too?
I do, yeah. So I have my diffuser in the bathroom, which is good for when guests come too.
I have one right here in the living space, but that's a great idea. In the bathroom.
I keep it in the bathroom. But then I play around my Epsom salt. I love lavender. So it just like, I try to keep my apartment to be like my place of like calm and rest. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not there unless I'm resting. So I'm like, okay, how do I make this as serene and calm as possible? So there's always lavender like on my bed, in the bathroom. The Epsom salt is lavender.
There you go.
So
very cool. So what is your personal mantra or theme song that kind of gets you to a good state of mind to start your day or kind of redirect your mindset back to that good place? So whether it's a quote or a song that pumps you up, maybe Enya, maybe.
Yeah.
that brings you down. So maybe
Enya calms
the
me
opposite.
down. Yeah, that brings me up. I don't know. I mean, I love like those like just like Fire by Pink when I'm like, I need to get fired up. Love that song. But entrepreneurship is like so hard. But you just need to like remind yourself like just keep going. You know, you don't know what's going to happen, but you just have to keep going and think of what your goal in mind is. So my whole phrase since the very beginning was like, just keep swimming. You know, it's from Finding Nemo, obviously.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just keep swimming. Like, I know what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to keep going because I'm going to achieve this goal.
That's great. Are you big into planning and setting goals? So say I want to reach this by this month or? I
am, but I don't stress out about it so much. I learned that very quickly, especially like when you're trying to, like with my brand, I'm building something out of completely nothing. You know, so holding myself accountable to goals sounded like a great idea, but in practice, it just brought me down every time I didn't reach a goal.
Okay.
And so then I was like, okay, like this is not going to be a step up here and then you go here and then you keep stepping up to your goal. It just doesn't happen like that. You know, it's a roller coaster and you go all up and around and everywhere. And like earlier today, it was a great thing and then a horrible thing within like 2 minutes.
Okay.
And you know, so, and who knows what's going to happen, you know, anything could change at the drop of a hat. So having a goal in mind, but that's like a longer term goal and not getting so stressed out about these like interim goals.
Okay. Like the small milestones.
You know, you're like, yes, have goals, but don't like, I was getting down so much when I wasn't achieving a specific goal. I was like, oh my gosh, well, we wanted to be here by then and we're not. And have I even accomplished anything if I didn't accomplish this goal? And it's like, well, yes, you have.
Yeah.
Just not that one yet. You know, so maybe your time frame wasn't right or, you know, the universe always knows when something is right. So
yeah, that's good advice though. Yeah. For any entrepreneur.
Yeah. Just let it go, but have your goals in mind.
Let it go and go to lavender.
Yeah. Only time.
So how can listeners reach you?
Via Instagram, I guess is good.
Okay.
Yeah. So following Eat Supernola.
It's
just at Eat Supernola. And then my personal Instagram is just my first name, last name, Sydney Poiesz. I'm sometimes funny, sometimes not.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yes, I love talking wellness and everything about it.
Definitely. And thanks everybody for listening. Have a great day.
Look into your eyes, I feel so